Okay. Next slide. Howdy, all. Last time we talked about goals as well as different mindsets and how there are different kinds of goals, and that there's a lot of research in this area, so check it out. It's really important to make sure you understand the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. This is probably not very subtle. It would be good to know those things. Cool. So yeah, this time we're talking about motivational strategies. Cool. Okay, so because last time we talked about little scripts and broad strategies. This is just a reminder. I gave you this definition in the last video chunk. It's a sequence of activities that progress towards a goal. And broad strategies just are like rejection sensitivity, assessment versus locomotion. In general, these strategies can be a product of traits. These traits can produce characteristic adaptations or just a generalized script. And the same strategy can result in different behaviors, which I think is kind of neat, as well as different traits can lead to the same strategies, such as wanting to get ahead and get along may both lead to making lots of friends, but for different purposes. So, I'm going to talk a little about defensive pessimism versus optimism. So this is a way to frame kind of everything around you. For example, like, let's back up and actually define defensive pessimism. So defensive pessimism is assuming that the worst will happen and use that assumption to motivate goal-seeking behavior. Now, the flip side of this is optimism, where you assume that the best will happen. And typically, pessimists find relief when the worst outcome doesn't happen, even when some things do go wrong. So this can be kind of a different strategy. Now, in both strategies, performance, success are similar for defensive pessimism versus optimism, and there is some consistency across, like whether people are perpetual optimists or perpetual pessimists. Typically people use one or the other kind of strategy. Now, the advantages and disadvantages for both tend to be about even. Neither seems to result in being better or like more effective at coping, but optimists are generally happier in their lives, so they hope for the best and go from there. Now, the downside of optimism is you will not plan on worst case scenarios, but instead, so like you may not like have that contingency built in, you hope for the best, versus a pessimist who like has planned for that worst case. So how I kind of like straddle these two approaches is I plan for the worst. I just solve for that like worst case scenario boundary condition because I'm naturally very pessimistic. And then I tell myself, okay, we solve for this. Okay, we know we can handle the worst case scenario, which means we can handle anything less worse than that. And let's hope for the best now. So, plan for the worst, hope for the best. Kind of gives you the both of them. And I found that I've been much happier when I take this approach. Now, this is anecdotal evidence, but maybe it's helpful to you. Yep, we're on to emotions. And that's where we're headed. Fun fact, this terracotta mask is the equivalent of like the comedy mask. I know we always think of like the tragedy mask is like woe is me, and the comedy mask is super happy. Like this comedy mask doesn't look super happy to me. But it's on Wikimedia. And it's like an actual Greek mask, not those stereotypes. So that's cool.